Welcome back, my friends. We are looking to enhance the bit by bit project from the YByte Python curriculum available at www.ybyte.in. Bit by bit is a project where we look at bitwise operators, basically work with the binary representation of any number. Now, this particular enhancement we are looking at is concerned with left shift. Now, remember, left shift basically means to shift every bit of the number by, let's say, to the left side. So, for example, if I were to take 160 and shift it left by 1, well, basically, I'll shift every bit to the left by 1, and what I'll end up with is basically 320 because the effect of left shift is like multiplying. We have seen this before that when we shift a number left by, let's say, m, the effect is that of multiplying this number by 2 to the power of m. So, for example, if I shift by 1, then I'm multiplying the number by 2. If I shift by 3, I'm multiplying the number by 8. Now, what that does is something interesting. Let's say my input was 8 bits. Given that I'm shifting by left by, let's say, 1 or 2, it's possible that my output might require more number of bits. In fact, that is exactly what we saw here. When I took 160, that could be represented as an 8-bit number because remember 0 to 255. However, after shifting, this requires more bits. Now, in many situations, it turns out that, the number of bits that I have to represent a number is fixed, which means that I would want to represent this as accurately as I can. What that would mean is that I would want to clip this number to become, let's say, 255. So that's the first thing that we're going to look. We're going to create a function called left shift clip where I will shift number by left. If it turns out that this number has become too large for the number of bits that I have, I will clip it to become the maximum value, in this case 255. Now, in order to see this more clearly, for example, here I'm running a Python shell. So if I have, for example, 23 left shift by 1, that's 46. If I were to 23 left shift by 2, that's 92. That's still okay. But if I did 23 left shift by 4, notice I'm becoming 368, which is more than 255. So what I want to do is that the moment I encounter this situation, for example, I will return the answer to be 255 because it will basically fit this number, clip this number to be, let's say, the maximum possible here. In order to do this, I'm going to write a function. So I just come back to my code here. I just write a function called, let's say, left shift clip. And the idea, like I said, is to shift left and limit it to the maximum possible. So I'm going to say, well, let me take an input x, argument x, shift it by s, and let me tell how many bits this whole thing should be. Having done this, I'm going to, like I said, shift, y. Y is my, let's say, return value. I'm going to shift it by s. So x left shift by s. So that's basically multiplying x by 2 to the power of s. And I ask myself a question. Well, if y is, let's say, greater than 2 to the power of n, so 2 to the power of, n bits minus 1, because remember, in an n bit number, the maximum number that I can represent is 2 to the power of n bits minus 1. So for example, if n bits is 8, then this maximum is 2 to the power of 8 minus 1, which is 255. So we have seen this before. Now, if this is the case, I'm going to limit my y to exactly this number. It's like a little bit like what we did in our highway dash, the speed becoming more than the maximum threshold. I go and limit the speed to the maximum, something like that, right? So when I do this, I can just go and return, let's say, y. Now, when I run this, so when I run this code now, as expected, I get the LED pattern, being created. But now, right now, I'm not interested in that. Instead, I'm going to just look at, let's say, this function, left shift clip. So remember, if I did 23, let's say 22 left shift 4, that is 352. But if I were to do the same thing through my function, let's say left shift clip 22 4, and in an 8-bit setup, well, I get an answer 255. So, because the maximum that I can represent is 255. So that's, like I said, clipping the number at the max possible. In fact, we can see this. If I did, for example, 22 1, that's 44 because that's fine. 22 is 88. 22 3 is also fine. 176. But the moment I go to 22 4, it gets limited to 55. So basically, this is like a clipping function, quite useful in several applications where we have such numbers being represented. I hope you found this interesting. In general, learning programming by building activities, applying concepts is a great way to learn. Look at our website www.ybyte.in because that is how we learn Python programming. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye.